Patalo fatu ile paia malu kalau kau kanga bring sambo ini saya fo saya stoa saya dia dia perform ya ini chua wa mai fo mai fo ini malu ya chua fa ini no rona lofa mo na ini ta jogi ia bela fo ya chua ini me pasa tu fai o paia mo malu sambo ya o fatu Naturally, I always guys come to Langa, providing a tier to Buck. And so you know, fast to watch. But here, loving my Lord, bring some more, and the feel of human one silly. Man was like Tayo, phone Mali. But here, all tattoo finger malu, yao te fast to watch. But here, for if I let you know, Malu, Palau finger, Luenga to Tofia, there to ia o te whatulo, ma whawhelua i atu le nei tai am fōu. Ua tātou tauru mai le nei aso, o le aso balusu whāl nei talu o le tātou whia mai ma le whamai o le Kvzktv. Tele lava a unga ma whita sa tātou whia ngai ai, le ngata o le tōtele o le atunu sa whaina le whamai. Ia o le soifua foi na mai mau. Ia e petai o leo tātou o mai le nei aso, o lo tu mau pele alofa o le atua isi o tātou o tunu. Ia ma ua alualu pe luma tu lango al tātou tau whaingu. Ina ia talatala maalie mo noatanga, ia matapu sa tu a wale puipuinga o si o tātou o tunu. Mea lea bea ailo, leo e whai ma whonga tamu moni le a whiunga kovana. Ia e mese foi o le lona komiti whafoi. Moli a trailo mātua ngā whaftai ma le whamaloa Rick Samoa. Ia ono lo tō lava pale, pa lo tō langolango sua, a wā le tātou maluenga e whai whatasi. Ia o le talo, ia lava pele on sai, ma ia tātou malulue kuna wai, ma le langolango mai. Ina ia whafusia le nei whamai, o ia tātou o asu tūlanga e nofo puipuia ai ma nofo malutia si o tātou o tunu. O le nei aso wa mātou o mai foi, le malu o le komiti a lana whionga le Kvzktv, e abatu se whamatalanga. A wā ia ngaluenga sa whianga iai, ia ma le mamalu o lau whainga malo, ia wā level puipuinga o si o tātou o tunu. Tātou wholasanga maasani o le amata o sanga mai le official soifua maloloina, hionga le whatonu, ia matusa. Ia ona soa elea ma se folsanga mai le tātou whalemai o le LPJ, le hionga le CEO, ia mwe whauo, ia mwe whamai, ia le yatu. Ia ona tātou whaiule i se folsanga mai le tātou vaenga o le FEMA, po le federal, o lo tātou whatasi ma le Tina ia Ellison Flander. Ia ona tuatu leo se avanoa i le tātou media mo ni Fesili, a wafo ia ngaluenga o lo whia mai ma lo whainga malo. Ia ona whae ule o le tātou mawhutanga i le nei aso e piona masani ai i se saunuanga i le whionga le mawhutasi e whauma i tātou waso. Good morning and talofa American Samoa. I'm honored to be here on behalf of Governor Lemanu and his task force to introduce our weekly press conference to inform you, our people, on what we are doing as your government to respond to the COVID spread that has happened here in American Samoa. We are now on the 84th day of this spread, and we have seen the numbers of positives drop significantly. The numbers of severe cases ending up in LBJ is also dropping significantly. And so although we've lost some loved ones because of COVID, and we've experienced many of our community members inflicted by the virus, we're thankful to God that a lot of us have been spared, and those who have been infected and now fully recovered. So the glory goes to him for his love and care on American Samoa. As always, our presentations today will start from DOH. and followed by our hospital at LBJ, and the final presentation from our federal partners, updating us on what's been going on with our response. After that, we will give the opportunity to our media partners to ask questions, and we will close with special remarks by our Secretary of Samoan Affairs, Maputasi Maunga Swenga. And now I turn the floor over to Director Motusa.
Whātaia tele mo mato wa noa la wafionga le kor. Ta tonu mo mona whātulo watu le mawalunga man mapopu o le nei tai au. Pa ia o Samoa, la le toi o eis whaamtalanga o le nā wa umana malele la wafionga. Whātulo watu ia o lo tato whātasi le nei tai au. Talo whātufo i le tato media. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Director Nua, and also Dr. Lauvao will provide a quick presentation this morning of what has been happening throughout the weekend and also the past 24 hours for the media and also our people. Then I will entertain some of the topics afterwards, but I will turn the floor over to Dr. Lauvao for our half of our presentation. Over.
Fatal fatu lo sunga de car, me se foi la to uma tuku mai o la tunu fa pen fata si mai, te mama tina matsua si o lava lo la tunu, fa pen fata si mai ile tato press conference ile nei tu la leso. Ya as for sanga nei mana matanga luenga so fo malo loina, los full fight tu la leso talo na mavai, mes fu lima luafe los fu malua, o tato slide so le ngala fa pertania o la fa samoina nei for sanga awal fa fong angal se o tato watunu. Next slide. O se va ingan na isuenga sa papel na faya ile matanga luenga so fo malo loina, a me se fo fan mai tele LPJ malevaenga le EMS ile asona nafi mes fu lima luafe los fu malelua. E se lau fas furu la to sa papel na so ina mo COVID fu maleiva, ai tasi la valeu fa maunia o maua ile COVID fu maleiva. Ile ai se tasi na papel na faya ni tonga fitinga mo le COVID fu maleiva. Next slide. O se vaenga nai numera tu fatasingo numera mo ilato uma o maua COVID fu maleiva. Talo no na amata maini ni fa moe ya February luas fu mai tasi luafe luas fu malua. E tasi leo fa maunio mo COVID fu maleiva la so na nafi. Ma tu o fa ingo ilato mo maua il COVID fu maleiva. Talo mai February luas fu mai tasi luafe luas fu malua. E lima afe iva se lau luas valus fu malvalu. Lima afe iva se lau valus fu malvalu. E to luas furu la to sa no fosea wa ato aso se furu talo no fosea ma le o fa maina po fa mo taina le no fosea ma le fa yo la to fa pe no fa maunia wa uma no fosea mo furu aso e lima fe balu se la wono su malua lima fe balu se la wono su malua ma le terminei na le se la lava ila to mo o COVID su malaiva lo fa pe no tu no uma la fama. Ma le luas fu fai tu la la so talo no mai atu le se tasi fa pe ona tong fitinga mo le COVID fu maleiva o le ala le dua afe se lau fas fu maleiva le tu o fai o la to o fa pe ona mo le COVID fu maleiva le ai se tasi o tau fia le mai po se tasi fo mo mauso i fu le luas fu fai tu la talo no mai atu. Next slide. O se vaenga na ia ilato o ilato tausanga o lo whaapiona watu e whaisuenga mo COVID fu maleiva. Ma le to'atelo ilato lo whaapiona so eina mo COVID fu maleiva. Ma le sifu palu tausanga o leonu se fulu. Ma ilato fo ilea o lo whaapiona fia ngai mga luenga i kampani ma le malo whaapiona watu so e a watu fo i atu i ngā luenga. Ma le tala fia ma ilea vaenga sifu valu tausanga o leonu se fulu. To'atelo lavo ilato whaapiona o mono whai o lato tui puia. Next slide. O se vaingan na ia I lato whaapeo na mo COVID-19 maleiva ma le tūlanga o lo ia I o lato tui puipuia o le COVID-19 maleiva ai me se fo le tui o le booster dose. Mai le tātou so tasi sa whaamaunia na mo COVID-19 maleiva le aso na nafi ia ele aini o na tui puipuia o whaia ma le temi nei e balisu ma le whaate si maleiva pasene o I lato uma whaapeo na whaia o lato tui puipuia o e o mo COVID-19 maleiva. Mai le tātou fo so tasi sa whaapeo na whaamaunia COVID-19 maleiva le aso na nafi lusu fai tu la leso ia ele I whaia fo isa na booster dose ma le temi nei it's fast food mal todos food maleiva test mal fitu pasene o I lato uma o mo COVID-19 food maleiva whaapeo na whaia o lato booster dose number 1. Next slide. O se vainga ngā whaafanua Amerika Samoa tutuila au nuu manua whaapeo na maua e o maua COVID-19 maleiva I le tūtanga vale o leile lisi o nuu malalafanga mai leo whae o lato o maua COVID-19 maleiva lo whaapeo na maua I nuu malalafanga ma le tūtanga matau o lo iei whaafanua Amerika Samoa pēna tangatanga I atu o le maalosti o le lanu o lona winga o le tele fo inao tangata o lo maua COVID-19 maleiva e lalafanga o tāfuna no uli whaapea ma leoni. Next slide. Ma se vainga na I le se lau o I lato o maua COVID-19 maleiva whaapeo na maua I nuu malalafanga peo tangata I atu whaafanua tele lau o nuu malalafanga le tu se sae ma le tu se sifu ma nuu foilo ngā tunu o whaapeo na le tu iei ke ua le tu iei ni mai o COVID-19 maleiva I le taimi nei ma le maua lunga o le maalosi o le lani lono inga tele whainao o I lato o COVID-19 maleiva pio tāfuna whaapea ia ili ili whaapea whale asau. Next slide. Ia se vainga nai whaamamounga mo I sosuenga lo whaia COVID-19 maleiva o ta ua le epicurve tato wa ai nai fitu waso o tu whatasinga mai o lava yaso se o mai nei yaso ma le vainga nai lea whai o la tōpo o e o whapeo na mowar COVID-19 maleiva paule mea o I lo masila fia o lo whapea lava o na tato o I lalo numero COVID-19 maleiva talo si aia ia tato o di atu whai ungo nei o le pisio nei wha mai COVID-19 maleiva I se temi vave mai. Next slide. Tasi fo ina o a fo I o whailongo whaamamounga o I lato whapeo na mowar COVID-19 maleiva o le vainga lava le tu sai mai vai aso mawai no whapea lava o na alu lalo numero I lato whapeo na mowar COVID-19 maleiva. Next slide. Se vainga nai tu langa I e umali liu po mai mauso I fua mai nei wha mai COVID-19 maleiva o le pasene lo iei Amerika Samoa tesi malilima pasene o lona winga ele I whaapea mo mai ale tātou so swani whale mai o le LPJ e au lava tātou so swani sa sepai le LPJ a me se la tunu o i o mai whaisuenga pa pea whai o moa I aonga wha mai na ia vave o na whaapea o le tu atu wha mai tele whanga alu whaitonga whitinga ale I o stulanga e tinga ina te lei ma ima warso I fuar COVID-19 maleiva. Next slide. O se vainga nei I le pepese wha mai o I manua ma tūlanga o molo wha tautai I manua. Next slide. Le aso ana nafi sa malo lo elfa mai ofu ma tau ele ieni suenga poni tui puia COVID-19 maleiva o na ana nafi la sai malo lo wai. Next slide. O se vainga nā leo whai o lato o mowar COVID-19 maleiva I manua. Fast mal fitu lea tu au whai o lato o mowar COVID-19 maleiva. Ele se tasi na maua mai lusu whai tu la lea so mawai atu. So whai lato o whaapeo na whaamutaina no fo isea. Ma toris fu malua I lato o whaapeo na whaamutaina no fo isea ona COVID-19 maleiva. Ma temi nei, na sifuru lima lava active cases lo whaapeo ina manua. Lea se tasi ni tong fitia ele lusu whai tu la lea so. Na yo o mari temi nei, na le lima lava tangata manua whaapeo na whaamaunia wa uma tong fitia mo le COVID-19 maleiva. Next slide. Se vainga nai lea whai lato o mo COVID-19 maleiva I nuk malalafanga I manua, whale asau, tosu matasi o ta u, esu maleono, esfuru lima I lato whaapeo na lo active cases nei I manua. Mala whai o lato o mo COVID-19 maleiva manua I fast na fitu. Next slide. Se vainga na ia I lato I tau sanga ma I lato o whaapea o na maua I le COVID-19 maleiva. O se tala fia manua, to atele ila to fa peo na faiola to booster dose mai su luata sanga yo ula vai fitus fu mai fitus fu tau sanga peo na fa maunia mai su enga mai America mai CDC e au nga tele booster dose number 1 e pui mai ai tangata ile mama itinga ina po le watu fa mai pe o stu langa mai ma wal so fu mai leola ile covid fu maliva. Next slide. O se vaenga nei tato tu ini no fanga lo afai tato tu winga COVID fu maleiva ai mesi foi su enga COVID fu maleiva ma tong fitinga moli COVID fu maleiva. Next slide. Ia fia fai lo atu o le asune o le so wa mata tu salaina talavai fale mai fai tu malo an tanga luenga so fu malo loina o la to la so eina pe afai o fale atu fia vai fu mai o la to le fai tu puia o la to o mo ya ngo fa mai a me se fo ila to wa to fia vai le fu mai ni fo se tu lo fa fo ala tu no ma o la o lo matala nei ia le potu fa ni fo leone ta funa ma moli o fa pe fo na matala tala vai ia tina mai tanga ta funa o fa mo fa pe na tala leone ma moli na ia fai ona vai tina mai tanga mai le tu mai se sai a me se fo isi sifo o leva tala ina ta tu tala vai mo tu inga fa na u fa alu ta funa ma leone o fa mo fa pe na tala ina tala vai ta mai ti mo tu inga fa na u a moli se aso nava ia so pe au dia tilolo mal malus lo fa pe fo tala ina ta tu primary care clinic ta funa ma leone tala sanga ina la tu no mo la to uma ma le lima ta sanga ya lo nga ilunga i fa pe on ta au mai lo le lo card covid fu maleiva ina ia fa pe ona fa mauni ai bo uma na fa tu winga covid fu maleiva mo ta to suenga matonga fitinga lo matala pe ta funa ACF1 mo fa ngo suenga afa pe fo to fitinga covid fu maleiva pa pe fo ya mauli o lo tsala ina pe suenga matonga fitinga ya mauli alfa mai leone o lo matala la suenga afa yesi ta si fa maunia on fa pe le ona mo moli mai so fu malo lo ina ta funa ACF1 e fa ye to fitinga. Next slide. O le vainga lea I wha moe po le sketchu foi oi I nei tutuila mo tu langa tuinga mo neiva yaso mes furuono luas fumatasi la to mau pea tato tui puipuia I amouli leone pa pea ta fundatiwa mai le balu I fa le afiafi e fa lai lo atu e la fasala wana atu sistema neiva yaso pa yes wha moe la yeni sino fuanga le fa yeni tui puipuia mo covid fu maleiva le aso na nei po se COVID-19 vaccination drive-through ili aso ana inei la fa pe fa sala la winatu mo fale mai ro fa ye su enga fa pe foi son fitinga o la fa wa wina le a mauli ta funa ICF1 a pe ona o ta o leone na su enga a fa ye mo se ta si covid fu maleiva o la fa pe on su inatu I ta funa ICF1 fa o wina son fitinga la fa wina pe ona se sala ta funa ICF1 ili aso nai ma le valu le lua le auli a wasu enga ma son fitinga. Next slide. Fa mo menga pole fa tunanga ina nga o schedule ta u lo fa peona tsala ina le tsala vai primary and misa tsala vai o loa po ni fo se tulole fa ngala tsino u fa peona tsala ina ne vai yaso lo fa o ina peona la fa tu puia and misa fo fa su enga covid fu malaiva ile fa ma itsa u. Next slide. Fa pe fo iofu la fa pe fo iona tsala ina pe ala so fa yala so su enga mo covid fu maleiva a mesi fo tu inga puipuinga o le covid fu maleiva la fa wina le iofu a mesi a se singa tu ai lu ma ainga a wa ila to lo mana o me per so swan. Next slide. O se va inga ni su enga lo fa pena mo el covid ile matanga venga so fo malo loina. Next slide. Ma le taimi nei e ono su mai tasi afe fitse lau su enga lo fa pena mo ile matanga venga so fo malo loina fa tolu le fai tu inga so enga lo mau e fa ngaina a wale so ina mo le covid fu maleiva sal fia lo lama matso e ta so enga a wale so ina o malanga mai Samoa o e fo malanga mai Hawaii a me se fo ye fo ia tu manu a matso e fo mai a me se fo ia onga wa o to a mataina onga fana. Next slide. Bisa va inga nei tong fitinga po vai la au lo mo tong fitia covid fu maleiva. Next slide. Ma tu a fa inga o vai la au lo mo nei fale mai tele LBJ fa pe fo ile matanga renga so fo malo loina e tolu wa fe fitu se la wiva fu mal fitu doses po vai la au mo tong fitina ai e mo covid fu maleiva. Next slide. O se vainga ngai vai la au lo mo ni manua lo fa pe na mo vai la au manua au i ofu matau a wa tunga fitina o mai pe a fai mo ko vitis fo malei va tu a faina e se laus fu mal balu doses o vai la au fa pe na mo vai manua a wa le tunga fitingo i la to la fa pe na mo ko vitis fo malei va. Next slide. Se vainga ne tato tu i puia. Next slide. Ia na tsols fun maleva tu ia dose sa fa peona fa tauta ina ile aso to ana ma tele ma le tsols fun maleva doses e tsols fun ma tsolu o la to fa peona fa na mawale la to booster dose number 1 put in number 2. Next slide. Le va inga na i tu yo covid fun maleva lo fa peona mawane ile matanga wenga so fu malo loina lo ia ile Pfizer mo le fu so sanga lo ilunga le Pfizer mo fana o lima su ile fu matasi so sanga a pe fu Moderna mo ina so fu malvalu ia alwanga ilunga so sanga so fu malo lava maso ta to tui e sapa ia po kalama le so fu malo loina a wa fa malo sila tunu we mai fa ila so tui pu covid fu maleva. Next slide. Se va inga ne I malanga fa pe tau no mai Hawaii. Next slide. Ya ole va alen tau no mai la suma lua se la fa suma tasi le afutu fa inga pasese to fa ila to fa mania pa po mai fitio ila to sala to ma futa fa tasi so ese fun mai tasi la to fa pe no fa ise no fuanga lo va eso fu malo no ina mo le maso ona fa wawina le le maso I tu ai a to ai se fu waso ya mes fu lua fi suma lua mo ila to fa pe ona na mo sa fa pe ona fa su enga e lua se la to fu fitu ila to fa pe ona negative sa ila to na to waso ila to ainga no fa va ai tanga sala va ia o ia va ai pe mo ia o fa mai e fa pe foi ona check in e talo fa pes mo le maso fa pe foi na fa tuina la tunu a fa ila vai se tasi mo wa ngo fa mai ia bili mai le lo tasi va. Next slide. Ole fa mo nga le ole matanga luenga so fu malo loina mo malanga la fa pe ona fa a wa wina mai ya yuni a matili ya yuni lua fes mo lua fa tuina sa malanga ia fa ile su enga fitu su malo itu la le aso ai malanga mai Amerika mo le fo su enga I fa pe on elective mo ila to fa malanga mai fa fo atu ole United States ia fa pe ona la to fa ya la to su enga to tono America fitu su malo itu la ai malanga mai Amerika mo ola fa malo sia pele fai o tato tui puia ia fa pe ona mai e ma tui puia le malanga mai fa mo fo matanga luenga ia fa malo sia le posto dose number 1 mo ila tos full water sanga luanga ilunga mo pase se o mo la tau no mai ola fa pe ona fai su enga ile malai va lele la fa uina pe mo ila to la fa pe ona mo fa mo ni mo fa mai la fa pe su no fo sia mo full waso li maso ba ai li mo fo ia se tu what's when ai na fa to full waso o ila to la fa pe na test negative ia la fa uina pe tu watu ai nga ba ai la betanga la ba ia ya mo fa mai ma ia fa pe ona check in e talo fa pass mo li maso. Ya o forsanga na matanga wenga so fu maloloina mo me sufu le lo su fai tu la le aso tano na mai atu mes fu lima lo afe lo su malolua ma nisi fo ina o fo fuanga matanga wenga fa wina mo malanga fa wa mai ya wa de fa pe on mato tu ina tu le ne aso mal o ava tele la tu ina tu ile ne ya no ile fa tu no matanga wenga so fu maloloina fa fa tai.
Okay, tell Dr. Lavao, my medical team. On the poll, I have to apologize to our media partners for not having slides for my portion and closing out our presentation. That's why I'm going to allow me to speak in English, so use the English language, so that will cover most of our members and those who don't speak Samoan. As the surge in Manua continues, we keep an eye and monitor that with the TCO. Right now, with 15 active cases, we're hoping for that number to go down to a single digit. Once that happens, then we'll reassess what's going on the ground, and then request commercial flights for Manua to resume, and hope to allow that on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. And Saturday. and allowed a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for our neighboring PIA flights. So since the surge, there was no commercial flights for Manua. Most of the flights to Manua were chartered by Public Health to support our funerals, our staff, our ASG government, and also transfer and emergency cases coming out of the outer islands. We're also keeping an eye on the Samoa cargo, Lady Naomi, and we're hoping to continue that, just cargo until such time we feel that Public Health and the task force can handle all of that incoming while also maintaining our regular mission. We did address the booster this morning, and we're also hoping to introduce the first booster for those who are starting to travel to American Samoa from the United States and also outside of the US of A. And we're hoping to continue to push that out to the media once everybody, all concerned, our thumbs up will provide us with a green light. Then we can use the next 2 weeks and also the entire month of June as a grace period so we can work with those who are coming to American Samoa, work with the Talofa Pass to make sure by July the message is clear to everybody that plan on coming to American Samoa. This is how we want to protect the public for the fact that we're only accepting one test in the United States, wherever they're traveling from. It will only be one test 72 hours before they come home. So that's all we have from Public Health. Thank you so much for our time. And we yield our time back to TCO. And we stand by for questioning. Over.
Thank you, Director Nua and Dr. Laval for your presentation this morning. Please stay tuned for potential questions from our media partners. And now I'd like to turn the floor over to Dr. Leato and a report from LBJ.
Abtayatu na wafionga Lieutenant Commander tainani fo ile paia mawalunga fafunga ango le atunu fa marulu wato no le chaiao o le mfaio o na fatasimai le fionga le fatonu ya mo fa wo ono lo fa pena ona tuchuangia fo I fontanga ayanga wenga fa solo tatu fanma awilea msalo talitonu lo wanoa fanga fuaia no fanga mangalo leo au auna chamfaya twice for la sala mai ile tatu mtanga wenga fanma nei fa malu wat foi ona for la sala le afa samoina ile ngana ya talitonu le afa pa pertania pele tatu for sanga ya tatu slide ya Amerika Samoa tu sol pa fanga anga le chaiao ya ole por sanga nei mai lim sanga wenga fal mai ya so mes fuono ilona tau sanga lua fe luas malua. Next slide. Ya pe ona tau sina tanga mai ile for sanga mai le temi nei mai le matanga le fa moi moi ya o nei le fa numero o na sa in ili ile fal mai pangalo ya suenga covid ile se fulu ba fe tolu se la luas ful malima mai le lus ful fai tula sa fa pena ona suea pena sueina ia ngase se lau se ful malevalu mai le se lau se ful malevalu sa fa pena ona maua se chasi o ngase chau mai le fal mai ile covid fie fa lau lu atu o le ngase le I fa ngaina ta to baila au pa pitol covid ma sa fa pena ona faia ia John Fatiga ma awina tu I lona mauta o se tala fia mai fo I le matanga wenga fal mai e pe ona to sila mai le tato for sanga ya wa ia nei le fal mai I le ai o se mai tau fia e pe ona to sila I fai numero e pe ona tu inatu o lo wa la utasia atoa I le numero o I vaenga le fale mai sa ato faina mo mai tau fianga e iai no fuanga le nau tau sila mai iai fie fala ulo atu I le duas fulfa tula o tuanai le iai se mai na tau fia le koviti e le ai fo se na maliu i le COVID. Ma olo ia i pea tātou whai numera mo e ua maaririu le COVID i le numera e tolu sifuru. Next slide. Ia o le wholesanga le na i ngalwenga wha solo, a le tātou mta ngalwenga i whale mai, e wha tatau i ngai oinga, ma ngalwenga wha solo e a le wha mai ma le ngasa COVID. E pe ona o tau sila mai o lo ngā lulu e pēr mta ngalwenga i whale mai, ma pesosoani au tātou petorale ma nisi fo i le FEMA ma le HHS. Ia ma o lo ngā solo nei e pe ona iai le whaatanoanga nei le awa uli. O le tau mawhainga lea ina ia whaangai ioi le ploketi i le whausia o ngā luenga i te tonu mta ngā luenga o le whanmai. O lo iai pea le saunininga le whanmai mo e sa whapena o na awina mai e pesosoani. E sui tau au i le tero ngase sa whianga ia i tātou. E mai se lama le vāengle nā e tā ua le New West Group. Wa iai nei le a fuafua mo fuafuanga ina ia toi tali watu e peo na iai le tala pia ua mai a le tero ngase o na fo ia matongo fitia. Ia o lo o tu mau pea le kai o inga le mtanga luenga le whanmai mo le whaadiri wina o le wha Samoa. I se tasi fo e o wha maunga mai roilonga o mafuanga sa mariri wai na i o tātou tangata. Sa o stemi masalo le nei vai aso o na tuina tule le task force le mai ai o le whaariri wina o le Beretania o le susuenga mai roilonga i le ngangana wha Samoa. Ia o isia mea o mawhai o na ripoti atuai e tusa o ngā ruenga wha solo le tātou whanmai nei i whanga alu. E a vea ilo leo whaatau waa e pai mawhonga tā mori tā ngā ruenga. Ia a talitono, rawa whionga lo tele powana, o le a whapena o na whaatari atu mataria poi. Pe iai nif siri mo le tā ngā ruenga, whaptai tele mo le amanoa. Manuia tele nā so me Samoa.
Aftai Dr. Pleyato, ma le malu o le tātou tā ngā ruenga o le whalmai, o ngā ruenga o lo whiangai pea, Thank you, Dr. Leyato, for your presentation. And now I turn the floor over to Allison Flander and a report from our federal partners. Allison?
Hello, Honorable Lieutenant Governor, Honorable American Samoa government officials, media partners, and the American Samoa community. FEMA and the federal team is proud to be partners with American Samoa as we continue to face the threat of COVID-19. The progress seen during the last 2+ months in response to COVID has been a phenomenal community effort, but we must all continue to do our part. I encourage everyone to follow health guidelines, continue wearing your masks, help people get vaccinated, physically distance, and care for your family, friends, neighbors, and anyone else who needs assistance if they become sick. Over the last week, the Federal Medical Response Team of 18 FEMA contract personnel, including RNs, LPNs, paramedics, and pharmacy technicians, continue to support the vaccination and test to treat sites in Leone Health Center, Amauli Health Center, Tafuna Diwa, and Tafuna ACF, as well as 3 pop-up vaccination sites from this past Saturday. We're prepared to support the vaccine and test to treat sites for the next few weeks. Again, if you're in need of your first or second booster, as well as your first or second vaccine, please head on over to the vaccination sites. You'll be in good hands with those DOH and federal medical staff. Additionally, the CDC health communicator disseminated Talofa Pass information for travelers through the American Samoa DOH Instagram, and she continues to develop messages and graphics for travelers and for schools to be distributed on the DOH social media platforms. FEMA is supporting the American Samoa government on FEMA public assistance reimbursement requirements and procedures for both LBJ, TMC, DOH, TEMCO, ASPA, and many others. FEMA Public Assistance and the Army Corps of Engineers is focused on providing technical assistance to the LBJ TMC facility conversion project as well. And finally, FEMA continues to accept applications for FEMA funeral assistance. If this applies to you, please call the FEMA Funeral Assistance Helpline at 844-684-6333 from 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. And just as a reminder, the EOC here with TEMCO has supported various folks who have been applying for that FEMA funeral assistance. So if you need any assistance with document uploads or translation, they're here to support, and they will help you call the FEMA Funeral Assistance Helpline to register. And finally, our CDC epidemiologist, Dr. Thane Hancock, is providing epidemiologic support to include vaccine data analysis, and he is preparing to transition off the virtual deployment on May 19th. At this time, you'll see the federal on-the-ground support assisting American Samoa government until June 2nd with virtual support ongoing, and we'll continue to support the American Samoa community at the request of the government. The federal partners would like to thank DOH for sharing a portion of their therapies with the Federated States of Micronesia. Inside and outside of American Samoa, the response to COVID-19 remains to be a whole community effort, and this is a great showcase of that community extended to the Pacific partners. Thank you all for your time. Papatai Telelava.
Thank you, Allison, for your presentation. And thank you for the great work that you continue to do here in American Samoa, also with the assistance of our partners from Off Island. I want to especially acknowledge and express gratitude to Dr. Thane Hancock, who has been instrumental with our program here in American Samoa and assisting all levels of our medical team from DOH to LBJ. Dr. Hancock, you've been a great resource and a comfort to help us understand and interpret the numbers as we see coming through each day of our surge. And you were here at the beginning, and you continued your service to our people even while you're off island. So thank you very much, and we wish you the best of luck in your new mission as you transition out of your work here in American Samoa. Please know that we greatly appreciate your help and your assistance. And now, e moli atu le ngā whawhitai o leo tātou o mai le teimi o tātou Fisili, mai le mamalu o tātou media partners. O teimi nei o le atu le no mua I tinai a Fili mo ni Fisili a wā le tātou taiao. Fili, this is your opportunity for questions.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I have just 3 questions. The first one is for the new mandate for the flights coming in from Honolulu. My notice is that now it's 1 test prior to departure for American Samoa, 72 hours. And also on the presentation says mandate booster shot, also effective June 2nd. Could someone please provide an explanation on why this changes? Mandatory 1 booster shot and only 1 test, 72 hours prior to departure for Pango Pango.
Thank you, Fili. We'll give this question to our medical team.
Thank you, Gar. Thank you, Fili, for the question. So we decided to change to the 72 hours prior to departure for American Samoa. There's a lot of issues and a lot of hardship that our people are facing with tests in the past. So because we are having weekly flights, and also in the States, it's getting harder to find places to be tested. So that's why, to get appointments to be tested. So that's why we decided to go down to 72 hours to be tested prior to departure to American Samoa. And also for the booster dose, it's highly recommended. There's studies from all over the world, CDC, that the booster dose, especially booster number 1, will protect you from getting severe infection and also prevent you from getting hospitalization and also getting severe infection and also in fatality. So it's been proven from studies to studies that booster doses, especially booster number 1, will protect you from fatality and also from severe infection. And plus, COVID-19 is already here. We're dealing with BA1 and BA2, and I'm not sure if there are, maybe in the future there's still be variants. But like I said, most of the time, American Samoa has the tools to protect against COVID-19, which is vaccination, test, and get treated. Over. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lauvao. Lieutenant Governor Fa'amamole Lauvao, one last question. I promise I'll go away and never come back. This is for the indoor dining service. If you could clarify, please, for the restaurants that are allowed to carry out indoor dining service, is the same restaurant allowed to serve beverages, alcoholic beverages? I've heard from customers complaining that it's not allowed under the approval exemption. And if it's not allowed, why?
Thank you, Philly, for your question. Yeah, right now the restaurants are allowed to operate. They need to work with the EOC on their plans to operate, and probably at the next declaration we will ease some of those restrictions. But at this point, we are requiring restaurants to work with TCO, Samana and his team, to make sure they get the appropriate approval. And within that approval, depending on the situation of the restaurant, they will be either provided the authority to serve alcohol or not, but it will be in the confines of that approval. So it's not a across the board approval. Each restaurant needs to work with us to make sure that there are safety requirements in place. As you know, we don't want to open up the alcohol in restaurants and turn it into people going to the restaurants at 8 o'clock in the morning and just have a big feast and a party there. That's not the intent. If somebody wants to have a glass of wine with his meal or her meal, then I think that's totally appropriate. And we want to make sure that those restrictions are in place so that our restaurants can serve our people with their needs. But we don't want to open it so that people can use it as a way to turn the restaurant into a bar. And so that's the reason why there's restrictions there. We ask the restaurant owners to please work with TCO and our team, the task force, to make sure that we're all under working together and on the same page so that we don't have to close down any businesses.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Phoebe. Now I'd like to give the opportunity to Monica and KHJ folks. Monica or Joe or John, KHJ. I see a 93 KHJ here, but I don't know who it is. Okay, so we will come back
sorry,
to...
Sorry, Lieutenant Governor. I'm sorry about that.
Talofa, Monica?
I just wanted to follow up on Philly's question, sir. I wanted to make clear so that people are not confused. For right now, have you allowed some restaurants who are licensed to sell alcohol to serve alcohol? Is that what is happening now?
Thank you, Monica, for the question. That will be up to our team at the EOC, who are granting the the approvals based on the plans that are submitted by the restaurants. And so if those plans include the service of alcohol, then depending on the response from the team, then those restaurants would be allowed to serve. But the restaurants who did not provide or request it, and so they would be it will be the expectation that they don't serve until they are given the approval.
So some people would ask, what is the rationale? What is the science behind, because in your declaration, in the latest declaration, it says bars are prohibited. When you have a restaurant that has a bar, the drinks would be served from the bar, not the restaurant. So is there, I just wanted to make clear that what the rationale is behind that policy or that consideration that you just explained.
Well, Monica, the rationale is we don't want people to go to the restaurants and convert it into a bar. We're still under restrictions based on the COVID surge, and we are very fortunate that we're at the situation we are. But it could very easily turn back to more cases and more deaths. So the rationale is trying to make sure that people maintain protections when they're at the restaurants, so that people keep distance and obey the requirements that we've given to allow the restaurants to operate. And we all know very well the influence of alcohol in anybody's system can lead to cases where they don't want to obey, or the thinking is affected, and we lead to more problems. So we are asking our people to bear with us and abide by the regulations that we provided. These may not seem particularly relevant or important to many folks, but these are regulations or rules that are put in place based on the advice of our medical people, the medical team. And so that's the rationale. The rationale is we want to make sure that folks have the opportunity to go out and have a meal. If they want to have a glass of wine with it or a beer, fine. But having people go out to restaurants and convert it into a bar where full drinking and no observation of our requirements, masking and social distancing, that's a real concern to our health situation and to our public safety situation. So that's the reason why.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Okay, so bars aside, on the list of prohibited businesses or activities, we're seeing that a lot have been approved to open. And so wouldn't it be easier than to, just to open up all those other businesses so that it's easier for those who have to monitor, control, and so forth? And I'm talking about salons, I'm talking about, barber shops and those other businesses that are on the list.
Thank you, Monica. I think if you look at the declarations, every declaration coming out, we are opening things up slowly. And that's just going to have to be the way we operate. We're not going to have a full-scale opening of everything. We're going to very slowly open a few, see what the experience is like, and then we move forward. And that's just a caution that we have to take because of our situation here in American Samoa. Do we want to, I want just as much as the other person to have these restrictions go away and have us go back to the life that we used to have. But that's not realistic right now. And as much as we want to entertain all of these businesses and do all the things that we used to do, we have to be mindful that there's still a virus out there. And yes, we have been very fortunate to bring the numbers down, but there could be another one lurking around the corner and coming in and infecting all of us again. Then there'll be more positives, there'll be more deaths. So these are the situations that your government needs to take into consideration. That's why these restrictions are put in place. They're very difficult to enforce. There's no question about that. Very difficult to enforce. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the money. But just because something is difficult doesn't mean we don't do it. If it's the right policy, if it's the right thing to do, that's what we do. And we call on the people of American Samoa to help us. You know, I've said this from the beginning when we first got our case. You know, this is what it looks like to live with COVID. There's going to be restrictions on your freedoms and things you don't like to do, but we have to ask you to bear with us, help us, because this will help the people of American Samoa and our community to be safe and be happy.
Yes, questions are based on what members of the public are asking us. For the Department of Health, please, do you have any new results from genomic sequencing testing of positive COVID cases that were sent to the island, please?
Monica, thank you for the question. As soon as those results are available, we'll inform the public on the daily card briefing and also to inform the media. Thank you.
And my last question, is DOE ready with its graduation plan for high schools, please? Some parents have been pressing for that information, please.
Do we have a representative? Monica, I can address this.
Okay.
I have a proposal from DOE, and we have a discussion pending with the governor to get his input on that. But there is a plan for DOE graduations, and it will be distributed and published as soon as all the concerns are covered.
Yeah, whaftai lava, manuia ngā luenga o neia, so whamalo at fo in ngā lue.
Tai Monica, manuia foi, te minei o le sunga ia tupai ia o loa wanoa nei mo ni fisili. Ia msalo wale yese fisili ale sunga ia tupai o le Kvzktv yes tato fisili.
Malo, thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Ngawa kava o mai le te leo o fisili na tau fisili atu. We do, however, have one question that just came up on the live, and this is from a member of the public, though. Further to what Monica and Philly asked earlier, the question is, how is the committee going to monitor those coming into I mean, how is the committee going to monitor the service of alcohol in restaurants? Because anyone can just walk in and purchase a plate just for the sake of having alcohol. Will you limit the amount of alcohol that will be served to the diners?
Tosi Manel Sili. The question of restaurants and alcohol will be, like I said, will be decided on a case-by-case basis unless there's other changes. But obviously the restaurants know that we are not encouraging people to come in and have big parties in their restaurants. So if somebody wants a glass of wine or a beer during his or her meal, I think that's totally appropriate. We also have the restriction of businesses closing at 8 o'clock. So whatever beer drinking or alcohol drinking that's done in a restaurant has to end at 8 o'clock, the curfew time. But we're hoping, in terms of enforcement, we're going to be sending out personnel to do spot checks from time to time. But mostly we ask that the business owners be responsible and make sure that they play their part to enforce the regulations that we put in place. Okay, I see we have other media partners here, so I'll just open the floor to our media, any other media folks who want to ask questions before we close. Okay. Ya o le tato folsanga na ile ne aso mo le atu le nga faftai I lau fafunga mo Samoa o le tamfainga le na lau fainga malo ya ina ia malu puia pe so tato watunu a wa ungo nei fa mai la foi se famtalanga o le tautamani I lau fafunga po tau tua o le tau I lau silsila mo Samoa ya malu a fale lo fingalo o le talo ia ngā pea ia auauna whatawaa a wale tau tuaina ma le puia so tātou atunuu mai le whamai o Kvzktv. Thank you, American Samoa, for being with us on our weekly press conference to provide information of our response to COVID. We wish you all the best of luck, and we will join you again next week to provide updates on our responses to COVID. Meantime, have a great day, and we'll see you again. Soifua.